Have you ever laid awake at night, staring at the ceiling, replaying every mistake you've ever made, wondering if you said the right thing, if people secretly hate you, if tomorrow will bring disaster? Overthinking, it's the quiet prison of the mind. It looks harmless, just thoughts swirling around. But if you've lived it, you know it can be torture. Now here's the real question. What if I told you that an emperor, like one of the most powerful men in history, also battled with overthinking, and he won? Yes, Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, the Stoic emperor, the man who ruled Rome, commanded armies, faced betrayal, plague, and death. Yet he wrote a guide to himself on how not to drown in endless thoughts. And in this video, I will share Marcus Aurelius's Stoic guide to overcoming overthinking, broken down through stories you'll never forget. But before we begin, let me ask you something important. Do you want to live a life where your mind serves you, instead of you serving your mind? If yes, then please subscribe to this channel, like this video, and watch all the way to the end, because the wisdom you're about to hear can literally change the way you think, the way you love, and the way you live. The context why Marcus Aurelius matters. Let's set the stage. Marcus Aurelius was not some monk meditating on a mountain. He was emperor of Rome, the center of the world's greatest empire. His mind was constantly bombarded with decisions. Should I send troops east or west? Is this general loyal or plotting my death? How do I deal with famine, plague, rebellion, war all at once? And on top of all this, he suffered personal losses. He buried multiple children. He watched friends betray him. He carried the weight of millions of lives on his shoulders. Now imagine the temptation to overthink in his position, to worry endlessly, to spiral into what-ifs. But instead of breaking down, Marcus Aurelius developed a system, a way of thinking, that allowed him to remain calm in chaos. And the beauty is, his words were not written for us. They were written for himself. In a private journal we now call Meditations. That means what you are about to hear is not theory. It's a battle-tested guide from a man who lived under more pressure than we can imagine. 1. Recognizing the enemy within. You are tormented by your thoughts, not the world. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Overthinking always begins with forgetting this truth. We believe the problem is out there. We think the world is too harsh, people too cruel, the future too uncertain. But Marcus reminds us, the world is not tormenting you. Your interpretation of it is. Let me share a story. There was a Roman general who lost a battle under Marcus. He couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, kept replaying every mistake in his mind. Marcus told him, "The past is smoke. The fire is gone, only your mind is keeping it alive." This is exactly what overthinking is. We take shadows of the past or worries of the future and keep feeding them until they feel like monsters. Modern version: you text someone, they don't reply. Your mind creates 100 stories. Did I annoy them? Are they ignoring me? Did I say something wrong? But reality is simple. Maybe they're just busy. Marcus would say, see reality as it is, not as your anxious mind invents it. 2. The power of the present moment. Marcus wrote again and again about time. He said, never let the future disturb you. You will meet it if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. Overthinking always steals from two places, the past and the future. Regret over what cannot be changed. Anxiety about what has not yet arrived. But Marcus's solution? Return to the present, because the present moment is all that truly exists. Let me tell you about a night during the Antonine Plague, when Marcus himself fell ill. Doctors didn't know if he would survive. He could have spiraled. What if Rome collapses? What if my children die? What if I lose everything? Instead, he wrote in his journal, do not act as if you had 1,000 years to live. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. He didn't waste time thinking of death tomorrow. He lived well today. And that's how you break overthinking, by returning again and again to the present moment. 3. The discipline of perspective. Shrinking the problem. One of Marcus's clever techniques was to shrink his problems down to size. He would write, consider how small and trivial things are which cause you so much concern. Think about how often we exaggerate. You make a mistake at work and think, I've ruined my career. You argue with your partner and think, the relationship is doomed. But Marcus' trick was this: zoom out. See the bigger picture. Imagine Earth from space. Do your current worries still look massive? Or do they shrink into dust? Here's a modern story. A young man once told me, I overthink everything. My girlfriend didn't text me for 2 hours and I was panicking. I asked him, do you think this worry will matter in 5 years? Or even 5 weeks? He laughed. Probably not. That laugh, that moment of perspective, is the death of overthinking. Because you realize the mind has blown something tiny into something terrifying. Marcus knew this, and he used it daily. 4. Writing as therapy. Journaling like an emperor. Marcus Aurelius' greatest weapon against overthinking was his journal. Every night he poured his thoughts onto paper. Not polished words. Not for an audience. Just raw self-talk. This practice works because the mind is like a storm. When you keep everything inside, it spins faster and faster. But when you write it down, the storm slows. Thoughts lose their power when they leave your head and land on paper. Try this. Next time your mind won't stop racing, grab a notebook. Write every fear, every regret, every what if, then read it back. You'll notice how much of it is repetitive, exaggerated, or even absurd. Marcus did this every day. That's why Meditations is not a polished philosophy book. It's therapy on paper. And you can do the same. 5. Negative visualization. Preparing the mind. Overthinking thrives on fear of the unknown. But Marcus and the Stoics had a method called premeditatio, malorum, the premeditation of evils. Instead of running from fears, they imagined them. Marcus would ask himself, what if I lose my throne? What if my loved ones die? What if I die tomorrow? Strange, right? Why think about such dark things? Because once you face them in your mind, they lose their power. Modern example, you fear rejection, so instead of overthinking what if she says no, you accept it in advance. You picture her saying no and you surviving it. Suddenly the fear loses its teeth. Marcus knew this truth. The mind torments itself with possibilities, but if you face those possibilities head on, overthinking dissolves. 6. Action over rumination. Marcus Aurelius hated one thing above all: useless rumination. He wrote, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Translated, stop thinking so much. Start acting. Overthinking is often paralysis. We analyze, debate, imagine, but do nothing. And the longer we wait, the louder the mind grows. Marcus's antidote was simple: act. If you don't know what to do the next small right thing. For example, instead of overthinking whether to work out or not, just put on your shoes and start. Instead of overthinking how to apologize, just call and say sorry. Marcus knew that movement kills mental stagnation, because when the body acts, the mind follows. 7. Remembering mortality. Memento mori. Perhaps Marcus's most powerful cure for overthinking was his daily reminder of death. Memento mori, remember you must die. At first this sounds grim, but think of it this way. When you realize life is short, you stop wasting time on endless thoughts. Marcus wrote, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Overthinking dies in the face of urgency. If you had 1 week to live, would you still obsess over what someone might think of you? Or would you live boldly, simply, fully? That's why Marcus used death as a teacher. Not to depress him, but to sharpen him. Closing thoughts. So let's gather Marcus Aurelius' suggestions for overcoming overthinking. Realize you are tormented not by events, but by your thoughts. Return to the present moment. Shrink your problems with perspective. Journal to release mental storms. Visualize worst-case scenarios to rob fear of its power. Act instead of ruminating. Remember, life is short. Don't waste it on endless thought. This was the Emperor's Guide. And if it worked for the ruler of Rome, it can work for us. Because overthinking is not a life sentence. It is simply a habit of the mind. And habits can be broken, replaced, mastered. Marcus Aurelius showed us how, through reason, perspective, and discipline, through courage to face life as it is, not as our anxious mind invents it. So next time your thoughts spiral, remember the Emperor's words. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.